technology and popularity and pop culture all are converging around the automotive industry. We haven't seen a time like this as far as the brand of automotive in decades. So that is how the industry has changed.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. Today, I have two amazing guests. Amazing, famous, infamous. Let's see how we're going to describe these guys. They are a duo, if I have ever seen a duo, but I have the one, the onlys. All right, I have Paul and Kyle with me today.
One of the onlys.
One
We'll
of
go
the
with that.
onlys.
That's how we're going to get introduced from now on. The one, the onlys.
Yes,
right?
the one and the onlys. Guys, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
We're doing good, and we don't know who should speak first.
Both of you guys. Because
when you ask a question of both of us, that's always going to happen. We're both going to pause for a second to let the other guy jump in, and then when they don't, we're just not going to be able to contain ourselves, and we're both going to talk at the same time.
That's because you guys are just such kind individuals, and are so thoughtful of others. So that's that. You know what? Picture of you guys just in the same room. I'm just talking to both of you guys all the time. There we go. Hey, for Paul and Kyle, for everybody out there that's watching and listening right now, you know, maybe like the 7 or 8 people that don't know who you are. Let's kick this off with a little origin story. Now, I've collected both you guys' origin stories in the past, you know, one-on-one, but, you know, the one origin story I haven't collected is how the duo that is Paul and Kyle became about. So let's kick off today's podcast with that. I'll let you guys decide who tells what side of the story. But what is the origin story of how the two of you guys came together? Okay.
We'll finally admit it. We actually are brothers, everyone. We've been playing our... I'm kidding. No.
The strange thing is I wanted to lead with that same exact thing. We didn't talk about that. That was in my mind.
Oh man. No, so actually I think, you know, we initially just connected on LinkedIn, you know, like any good late 2019 story happens, which is we connected on LinkedIn, and actually one of the really cool things about the way that we began connecting like one-on-one and like having conversations was something that we talk a lot about, which is how we're all about like put content out, just constantly put content out, because it will come back tenfold, and you never know what piece of content would encourage someone or is going to, you know, light a fire under someone or connect someone. And so Paul actually was hosting these coffee talks with Drew Delaware, formerly of Goobagoo, and I was a tier 3 marketer, of which they were attempting to gather together those. And so he posts and shares this link of like, hey, anyone should join this. Now, if anyone knows Paul over the last like 3 years, the majority of his LinkedIn posts I would say are pretty popular, you know, a fair few amount of engagements in that like 30 to 120 engagements. Well, this post to this day has 4 engagements on it, and I was one of them. I clicked like and connected to that group, and then Paul and I actually connected through some Zoom calls, and then later through Clubhouse, and then just realized through engaging with each other on a weekly basis that, hey, there's a particular energy that both of us have toward something. And I think one of the earliest conversations, Paul grabs me after a Zoom call. He's like, can you just stay on for a second? And he goes, you know, I don't really know what it is exactly, but I know that there's something that we should do together. It's kind of like the way he led the conversation. So
it was a bromance, like right from the beginning. Is
probably
is that what I'm getting?
That's a fair way to put it.
It was a fair way to put it. Paul, how would you put it?
You know, first of all, there's a massive object lesson in what he just said. 4 people engaged with the post. One of those 4 is really a significant part of my future and my family's future and so on and so forth. Why? Because I just made content, right? And I didn't worry about the 4 engagements, and I didn't worry about, right? You never, ever, ever, ever know who's going to connect when. So that object lesson aside, I think you're just generally attracted to people that think the same way that you do. And we're all that way in general. It didn't take long for me to realize that this is someone that, Jason, you know this too. Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, you have a certain energy and motivation and work ethic and drive behind what you do. And it's kind of the rare occasion when you pull up next to somebody who can match that. Right. And yes. So I think really quickly, I realized like Kyle was very, very similar in that way. And then the more we talked, the more we realized like we have a lot of things that are aligned. And then when our families got together for the first time, we realized there are a lot more things that are aligned. And, but it was like any good relationship, right? It was kind of a measured approach, and it wasn't like, hey, we should do something together. This, the story played out like a real pandemic story, right? We kind of, came across each other online. Then we started participating in things that we were doing. Kyle did this big clubhouse thing during NADA, which really, got my attention. I was like, that's exactly what I would have done if I was him. Right. And so, and just little by little, we started doing more and having more engagement together to the point where we realized like, we should do something together. I'll fast forward that story. We met in person for the first time in Digital Dealer in Tampa. That was the first event back once things started opening up. Communicated after that. We were like, we definitely have to do something. We were actually going to we started a company called Contagious Auto, which was really set out to create marketing education and help more people live out the thesis that we pervade. And when it comes to brand marketing and organic traffic and marketing efficiency and understanding the channels and paying attention to cost per car sold and not ad spend, And so we started out doing that. Then we had, we were going to have another ASOTU event in Vegas. Kyle just threw in, was like, hey, I'm helping with this thing. And it was at that event when we realized actually ASOTU is what we need to put most of our attention into. So shifted some things around, and now
which is a perfect switch. That's a perfect segue into our topic today, which is ASOTU. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Did I get it right? Did you get it? ASOTU? No. First thing I got to ask is I got to ask. So
we actually made a shirt that has like all the different ways you can possibly come to that level of pronunciation. So
I love it, which I think is totally necessary, but no, hey, look, when I saw you guys were doing it, look, I mean, Kyle, I can definitely see you're the PB to Paul's Jelly. And it makes sense, the two of you guys together. Talk about a powerhouse. I thoroughly enjoy always engaging with you guys and talking to you and listening to both of you guys talk. You guys both come from very different, slightly different and still the same unique perspective. So it's really kind of fun to watch you guys engage. It's been a blast to kind of watch you guys kind of build out this brand, So let's kick it off with this brand. So, ASOTU, all right, there's an event coming up, which we're totally going to talk about today because I got to get into that, right? But just for everybody out there that maybe just don't know what ASOTU is, how would you, Kyle, I'll start with you, and then Paul, I'll ask you, how would you guys kind of describe what ASOTU is?
Well, I'm actually going to kick it over to Paul just because it was his kind of baby at the beginning. And I think that the spirit that the beginning of ASOTU had has been like curated and crafted over time. And so if we don't start kind of with that like initial spirit, then we don't really know why things are still happening the way that they are today. So
100%. Paul, kick it to me, man. The what and the why that is ASOTU.
So first of all, ASOTU stands for Automotive State of the Union. Automotive State of the Union. We shortened it to ASOTU just because we had to, because it's just too long. It's too long to type. It's too long in a domain. It's too long for URL. And it really, I hesitate to use the word because it's becoming a buzzword. It's on its way there. It's going to be there in like 6 months from now. Just like brand had become a buzzword, over the last 3 years or so. Community is the new buzzword. And Automotive State of the Union really did start as a community. The pandemic hit, we locked down. We had just gotten back from NADA. Everything got shut down. The country didn't know what was going on. Dealers didn't know what was going on. It was different in every state. However, I realized that when I was on Zoom calls with dealers all across the country, everyone felt better when they were together, sharing who was doing what's going on over there, what's going on over there. And so I was brushing my teeth, locked down at home, saying, what can I do to help scale that feeling and serve the industry? And I was like, we need to have a live stream. but if someone's going to come to this live stream, it needs to sound official. I know, Automotive State of the Union. And then I had a designer. I was like, make a logo that looks like really official and like presidential. And the second I had the logo the next day, I just started texting people to introduce me to like some of the higher level people that I didn't know that I wanted to be on there. And we had that first event. Thousands and thousands of people showed up. Everyone I invited said yes, from Rhett Reichert, the chairman of NADA, to having Jason Stein and Jim Fitzpatrick on together, to Brian Benstock, who I didn't know. And people showed up. And that's how Automotive State of the Union was born. Just thousands and thousands of people came. They started following along. We started getting email addresses. And we actually had 3 more of those live streams within the first 60 days of ASOTU even being a name that people talked about. And just kept having events. Kyle and I met later that year, actually, or started actually interacting. So, you know, I'm talking first event was April 1st, I think, 2020. And we had 5 more live streams that year. We met in person in Philly, the place we're having ASOTU Con, and it was less than 100 people there. But like Rhett Reichert flew in, Brian Benstock flew in, like the people flew in to do it. And then Kyle and I met. Or what's the question? What was ASOTU?
The what and the why.
ASOTU? Where did it come from? What and why?
So that's where it came from. And now I'm going to let Kyle talk about what it actually is now.
Yeah. So really it's a move into further crafting and curating this community. And the way that we're doing that is as a media company. But the media is really there to serve a collaborative and communicative effort within a community. So this community looks like clubhouse rooms and social media and a daily newsletter that we give people a drip feed of just, you know, kind of grabbing from all of around automotive, but also pulling from retail and what the kids are into and all that type of stuff in a through line in all of the media properties that we have. And we say it like this, like we want to be the DJ for the forward thinking automotive industry, the ones that kind of like pull together all the thought leaders, but also pull together the community. And when we say community, we don't just mean, you know, the managers, owners, dealer principals. We mean the lot attendant and the receptionist and the salesperson and the BDC rep, because what we know is that a community that comes together to have conversations about solving the customer and employee experience actually allow for a speed of innovation that we haven't seen and need to see in order for retail automotive to not just survive, but also thrive. So
what a community.
That's like what we're building right now and what is already there. And we're just expanding upon. And what we're trying to do is just call more people to that, right? Whether you're really close to it already and you're at the center of, you know, consumer experience, you're Brian Benstock, you know, doing deals in the metaverse, and you're Kevin Fry, you know, accepting crypto to all the way to, you know, writing a Foursquare on a pencil in the showroom, right? And throwing it over the sales tower. Wherever you're at in that spectrum, we're just putting like a beacon up to draw people closer, create a communication network, you know, serve people with the news and information that they need in a relevant and contextual way that is the way that people consume content typically outside of automotive, so that we can, I mean, literally like it at some level, save retail franchise automotive.
Let's save them. Let's do it. Right. Dude, I love this.
Truth.
I love the boldness of it. You know, I'm one of the first ones in line for a good challenge. And I love the challenge that you guys have chosen to take on. And, you know, look, and from someone who's done events themselves, like, and going in, and that's what will be our next segue into our conversation today, is around that event. Look, we've both been to many, many events. I've been to events from, you know, airport hotels, you know, to monster convention centers and kind of everything in between. And, you know, look, guys, I'll be the first one to admit, I'm not overly impressed with everything that I see out there anymore. It seems like we've kind of got ourselves stuck in this kind of loop of kind of the same conference, the same content, you know, and look, from the dealers and people that I attend these events, you know, if it wasn't for the networking, they say the same thing. You know, it's like, hey man, this is the one time a year I get to see you, Jason. Let's go have dinner. You know, but like, you know, and I think what you guys are doing cool. So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit about the event. When's it going to be? and how you guys have kind of structured this to be something very different than I think the industry has seen up to this point. Who wants to take the first go at this?
I'll take.
Yeah, I'll grab that. So we're hosting it. Sorry, I had to jump in. So we're hosting it in Philly, September 11th through the 13th. The event is called ASOTU Con. So if you're listening and you're like listening on one device and want to look on the other, it's ASOTUCON.com. But yeah, the idea, and we're calling it the rebirth of the Automotive Conference. And it's not to say that all automotive conferences are necessarily bad or doing it the wrong way. There's actually some that probably need to keep doing things the way they've done them because they are so dialed in at this point. But there's by and large a need for us to rethink the way that we collaborate and join and vibe together as an industry. Jason, you say this all the time in your content, and a lot of industry professionals, both in the dealership and outside of the dealership, are saying like the way that we engage employees and customers in retail automotive has to change. So what we're saying is, shouldn't the way that we engage at conferences also change? And so the idea is to provide a space, a content stream, a format that engages people in a different way, that engages their mind, engages the conversation, allows them to kind of like broaden and open their horizons outside. We say like a lot just looks right inside automotive at that nucleus. And so what we want to do is zoom out and look at retail and economy as a whole and understand that automotive is a silo of that, but it's influenced by all these other impact factors. And if we can do that as an industry, then we start to relate to the customer and the employee on a more seamless level. And so that's like the overview of the conference. And I'm sure Paul can dive into like how we're formatting that and what it's going to look like to be in and around that space.
Yeah.
There's like this element where we've been saying attendees, we don't have attendees, like participants welcome, because this is going to be an event where you participate. And, we've all been to a lot of events, and some of the ones that make the longest impact are the ones, the smaller events where you spend a lot of time with the people, right? Not the ones that are spread out so far, because you're siloed from even the other people and the other topics. So this event, when you walk in, it's about engaging, and we have a main hall that can't even fit everybody that's going to be there intentionally. So we have a main hall, and then we have multiple side stages. So on our main stage content, we're going to simulcast that to the rooms, and then we have a marketing tech room, right? The operations room, a sales leadership and culture room. And we're trying to encourage everyone to go to at least one session on something you don't know anything about. Because we think when people are actually able to engage and build empathy for what else is going on in the other areas of the store, we think the whole store wins, and we think the customer experience wins, as Kyle was just saying. So like from the very beginning, our welcome reception is actually in a dealership. Sioka Subaru is the flagship Subaru store in the country now. It just grand opened in Philadelphia. Mr. Sioka is excited to host the industry. Tom Dahl's going to be the president of Subaru of America, our CEO. He's in charge, and he's going to be. And so the welcome reception is going to be in this multi-story dealership. It's beautiful. On September 11th, we're going to do a charitable initiative with a dealer started, a charity for veterans to help disabled veterans. So it's like we're going deep into the community. Monday, you're going to walk into this venue and you're going to be like, I already am in a different mind space when you walk into the Xfinity Live Center, and everything is provided, all the food, all the entertainment. It's right like within walking distance to the hotel. So we're not going to be losing people. You have a full day of content. That night, we're flipping the whole place from conference mode to entertainment mode. And in all the different rooms, there's going to be silent disco and karaoke and live DJs. We're bringing in Nashville's hottest party band called 12 South. They're going to play an open air show. Nice. And everyone who works in automotive is invited. Literally every single person. So every deal, every tech, every lot porter, every BDC rep, we're going to get everybody to come. So we're going to go from 600 conference mode to like 3,000. This is the retail automotive industry vibing together. And then Tuesday, we're back for just a half a day of content so people can go home like energized, and we don't experience that, the slow death that every conference we've ever been to experiences on day 3. We're not even having a day 3.
The famous day 3 when everyone's kind of shuffling about from the parties the night before. No, I know what you're
looking down, saying, "How can I move my flight up?
How can I move my yes?" Anyway, I think you've done that once before. I may have given you a ride to the airport on one of those events.
That's right. I remember that while we were recording a podcast.
Let's get. You know what? I love the structure. Look, guys, I'm excited. I'm excited to go and capture this event. I think it's going to be very, very, very cool. And just the movement from having different places. I got to be honest with you. Like I was, someone asked me the other day, so, you were in Napa Valley, California. How was it? I said, the hotel lobby was amazing.
It's a nice drive from the airport.
Yeah, the drive was beautiful. I mean, I tell you, I spent 5 days in Napa Valley, and the drive was amazing. But no, I love this going out there and visiting, this large dealership, and then just the space that you guys have. Even though it is one space, it feels like it's many different spaces, and I think it's going to be super cool. Now let's get into the most important part, I think, of any event, which is really the content. And we were kind of talking about this, earlier. It's just, how do you, it's one thing to rebirth the kind of the concept of an automotive conference, but the content is so key. And, we get into these loops where we kind of keep talking about the same stuff. And we see the same decks and so on and so forth at these places. I know you got a strategy for this, so I'm excited to hear it. Who wants to kind of take this one first? Kyle, Paul?
Yeah, I'm excited content. Because, one of the things that is very hard, and it is hard. I don't care if you are a speaker or a pastor or a content creator. It is not an easy task to keep people engaged and interacted with for 50 minutes or an hour. So we literally only have one person, and it's our premier keynote speaker, Jim Mckelvey, that will be doing an hour presentation on Monday afternoon. Everything else is half an hour sessions that are fireside chat style. So we don't even have like a bunch of screens where we're going to be throwing up slideshow presentations. Because one of the things that was best, especially in the early days, with like Clubhouse or even quick Zoom calls, was that they're not really dialed in, and every question is known, and there's a less place to hide. And so those fireside chats where the questions are really dynamic, we've got a really neat set of moderators that not just Paul and I, but other moderators that are going to be coming in and really digging in deep, and not taking like the fluff easy answer as just Jump Street. So all of the content is going to be 30-minute or less bite-sized chunks that'll move quickly. You'll be able to move in between rooms throughout the middle of these content pieces. And then we're doing some cool stuff around just, what type of panels we're providing, the people that we're drawing together, even just like talking about, behavioral psychology and, the way that culture is driven within just a person as well as an entire dealership, or, measuring success in an inventory shortage when you have inventory that comes in 2 months after you just reported the vehicle sold. And so all of that type of stuff where we're trying to be super timely with the content. We didn't have anyone submit, what they wanted to be speaking on. Actually, we've intentionally kind of held out. We're actually this week kind of finalizing the content so that we're within 45 days. So we make sure that there's a ton of relevance for the audience. Smart. So
that's super smart. I mean, because 45 days, guys, I hate to say it, that's how fast shit's moving these days. It's like if I built you a deck 3 months ago and I proposed it to you, I say, hey, this is what I want to talk about at your event, it may actually not even be relevant.
Irrelevant,
right? No, but it's true.
True.
It's totally true. Look, and I love the fact that you're looking for actionable content, and to make it actionable, it's got to be very timely. Paul, is there anything else that you kind of like to add to, from a content topic of what people might expect when they come to the event?
So the typical high level, practitioner content that's usually part of ASOTU events. All of our investors are going to be there and activated. We have 7 dealer investors. So we're actually a dealer-owned media company. We're also very passionate about bringing outside automotive thinking inside to automotive. So the very best thinking, high level thinking from other areas that are close to auto and relevant, but not automotive focused. Jim Mckelvey, Kyle mentioned, is our featured keynote. He is actually the co-founder of the company Square, little payments company you may have heard of. He founded Square with Jack Dorsey. Yeah. And so he's going to be there, wrote a New York Times bestseller called The Innovation Stack. Couldn't be more appropriate for this time. We're also going to have Claude Silver, who is Gary Vaynerchuk's chief heart officer. She's coming down to talk to us. Darren Doan, legendary music video director. He launched also the Toyota Tundra for Saatchi and Saatchi. He's produced everybody from, Blink 182 to Kid Rock to Jason Mraz. David Meltzer, legendary sports agency owner, one of the largest in the country. His agency was the one they talked about in Jerry Maguire. And he's just man, he just knows how to get things done and do business and thinks so pragmatically about the whole business world and what's going on. Dr. Nicole Lipkin, she's a Philly native, actually kicked off our very first ASOTU live stream she's going to be there talking about mental agility. She speaks and consults with a lot of publics and, public companies, OEMs, and then right down the list, like Tom Dahl from Subaru and, obviously Brian Benstock, David Lester, our usual cast of characters. Alex Vetter is going to be there talking, even Glenn Lundy, Jason Stein is going to be hosting some things and being there. So just from the top to the bottom of the industry, inside and outside the industry, we're just hell-bent on giving people something they've never seen before.
Well, and you know what? I love the fact on just how broad it is and all the different people that are going to be coming there. I've talked about the automotive industry as being the island of misfit toys in many different podcasts. You guys remember that movie, right? Every Christmas it comes out. I got to watch it with my kids. It's one foot in front of the other. Anyways, I'm not going to sing on this podcast, but it is. We're the island of misfit toys. And we come from many different walks of life. I mean, I know owners and dealer principals that, started their career selling pot in high school. And, I've known others that have multiple MBAs, it's just like in multiple degrees to go with them. We just come from so many different places. But we all kind of have that central goal of providing just an amazing customer experience. So guys, I'm super stoked, super stoked for this event. I do have one kind of final question I wanted to ask you guys. I always get to decide rabbit holes, and I love finding rabbit holes, and I'll go down those rabbit holes. But before I do that, is there anything else, guys, you'd like to kind of discuss or make sure that people are aware of about the upcoming event?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were really hell-bent on is making sure that we had an accessible event from a financial perspective, right? Because it's an investment to go to something like this, both in time and money. And whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, or, the salesperson that's just getting started or the sales manager that has to make ends meet, we wanted to make sure it was accessible. So, the flights into Philly right now, we looked, the most expensive flight that we could find was San Diego for $527. So if you book it now, that's really inexpensive. And that's all the way across the country. A dealer ticket is only $399. An industry partner or OEM ticket is only $599. So you get all 6 of your meals while you're there, as well as all of the content, the concert, all of that covered. And then the last piece of that is our primary hotel room block is only $169 a night base fee. So, and free parking at the hotel. So you're not paying valet or anything like that. So just like a really accessible, I think most people, at least the east side of the country, can get in and out of the event, including all of your food for like less than $1,100. So it's
even the Uber from the airport is cheap because the airport's only like 6 to 8 minutes away from the venue. So every detail is affordable and accessible.
I love that you guys made it accessible for everyone. There are definitely events that you can tell that are catered to, specific, maybe general managers or sales managers or dealer principals, just kind of based on the cost to go. So look, right. That's awesome. Hey, for any management actually that's out there maybe watching or listening right now, who should they send to this event? That's the question I'm going to ask. Which one of you want to take that one?
The answer to that is as many people as you can, because, and I do say that because there are going to be so many things going on at once. And this isn't the kind of event where everything's going to be available post, like in workshop mode, because we're not doing workshops. Listen, send a general manager, send a marketer, send your fixed ops director. And I would also say send your service manager. And that's a good place to start. But I think you could send a salesperson. You could send a lead service advisor would be great. Send someone who runs the BDC. Definitely send a marketing manager if you have them. This is just a place where you're going to allow them to get inspired about what is possible in retail automotive. And if it's not just one person, that means you have a little group that are maybe going to have this experience together and then can really support one another and make some really positive headway in your stores.
I think that's a great strategy of who I'm going to send, right? Because look, the goal of any of these events when I'm sending people to is try to extract as much out of it as possible. So yeah, no, I think that's a great strategy. Well, guys, it's time to go rabbit hole, and I get to choose the rabbit hole today. So and since I got the two of you guys on here, I'm going to choose how the industry is evolving, and we got a chance to kind of talk a little bit about this before we started recording today. Because I mean, holy crap, how many changes have happened in the last 24 to 36 months, and it's not just the business evolving, it's how the customer is evolved so much in the last 24 months that now puts us into a place that the industry has to, and maybe in some cases has caught up, and in other cases has to play catch up. But I'd love to get both your guys' perspective, all right, on how the industry has evolved and will kind of continue to evolve. Who wants to kind of take a first crack at my rabbit hole today?
How the industry has evolved and how the industry wants to evolve. Was that the two parts?
Yes.
The industry has become much, much more popular. I'll start there. Automotive is at the center of conversation in broader culture. It hasn't been that way since the 60s and 70s. We went through this big lull where cars were just cars. And even just several years ago, people were moving away from vehicle ownership individually and saying ride share is going to eliminate vehicle ownership personally. Pandemic hits, now personal vehicle ownership is the way to go. We see a lot of people clamoring for it, so that the demand for the product is higher. But EVs, companies like Tesla who have made automotive sexy again, technology and popularity and pop culture all are converging around the automotive industry. We haven't seen a time like this as far as the brand of automotive in decades. So that is how the industry has changed. Where is it going to go? I think it's going to be much more integrated with people's lives because of technology, because of the conversation and the integration of other things like our phones, right, into the experience that's a part of the vehicle. So I think much more integrated. And I think, it's much more a part of pop culture.
I'm with you. I love it. No, but you're right. I mean, I think it's the ownership or even the purchase of a vehicle is more about the experience, and more pop culture is about how you experience pop culture, not just the fact that it's a thing, right? It's the experience of pop culture. So I'm with you. Hey, Kyle, for yourself, how have you seen the industry kind of evolve, and how do you think it's going to continue to evolve?
Well, I'll say this, that I think that the narrative will tell you that it has to be derived from technology primarily, and that people will interact with technology. My encouragement is that the technology would continue to be a greater supporting cast, that we leverage technology to ease efficiency for our people, and what our brand USP as an industry, so unique selling proposition as an industry, is the way that we leverage the people that we have in the industry to be more interactive, more supportive, great, like a greater level of connectivity with the customer on the other side. Because that's one thing that, like, if you only drive at technology, what happens is the stickiness to the brand of retail auto goes away. And so I would encourage that we use technology to leverage and support the efficiency that then a person within the automotive industry can be more familiar, more connected, more dialed in with the consumer, and use that as our USP as an industry. And if we can do that, like, it will set us apart from not just other like new entrants in auto, it will set us apart from other industries as a whole.
I like that, because we no longer become, the following of other industries, become the leader of other industries, which the automotive space has had a handful of times like that, but not many. And I definitely don't think right now, that might hurt some people's feelings, but I just, honestly, I think that's the truth. I think we're following, not necessarily leading, but I'm with you 100%, Kyle. And I think there's some amazing operators that are actually executing exactly what you're talking about, right now. And, look, I'm excited. I'm very excited. Look, I'm excited for the event. I'm excited for the industry. I love this industry. Guys, I know we're towards the tail end of our time. So for anybody out there watching, listening right now, what is the best way to connect with you, and how do we find out more information on the upcoming conference?
We'll go with two things. Number one, we put our heart and soul as a company, as ASOTU, into an email that comes out every single morning. You can read it in less than 5 minutes, and it's automotive, it's culture, it's all the things we talked about combined into an email every single day. And you can get it for free by going to ASOTU.com. Number two, we really want to hang out with you at ASOTUCon. You can still get tickets, so ASOTUCon.com. It will sell out, and we don't want anyone in your community, Jason, to be the ones that click on the button and it's like sold out. So we would love to jam with you in person. And, Kyle and I are always floating around LinkedIn. You can just search our names, and we do answer our DMs. So if you need anything, we're here.
Awesome. Hey, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you guys in Philly. Have yourself an amazing day.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.